Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Schrag, and I'm going to talk a little bit about your NSF Small Business Phase I Award. So before we start here, congratulations. If you are listening to this, it means you've gotten through a daunting multi-stage peer-reviewed process to receive a Phase I award through the Small Business Innovation Research or Small Business Technology Transfer Program. Congratulations. It's a very competitive program, one of the most competitive in the SBIR universe, and a lot of folks apply, and so you should be proud that you've managed to navigate your way to this point. So I'm going to cover really in this webinar a bunch of different, mostly tactical and operational things that are going to help make your Phase I experience with NSF go smoothly and to answer questions and make sure that you're as prepared as possible to be successful in your project and to be in a strong case for your Phase II. So first of all, I'm going to talk about your NSF Program Director. You probably have been engaging fairly significantly before your award with somebody who is, in general, you become your Program Director for your award. If you're not sure who that is, it is named directly in the award letter that NSF sent you, giving you the funds. And so if you don't know who that person is, I recommend you reviewing your award letter. And your program director will usually reach out to you, but you feel free to reach out to them instead if that hasn't happened already. In most cases, any question you have or any concern you have about your award with the NSF, the program director is a great first point of contact. They may not be the ultimate person who knows the answer to your question, but they generally know who to ask. And so I would encourage you to be as open and frank with them as possible on how things are going with your award and how things are going with your company. And for certain changes around your project itself, your program director is somebody who you're required to get approval for, and I'll talk about that as well. So a couple tips about communicating with your program director. First of all, each of us has a fairly large portfolio of awards, and so having your award number prominently displayed in the subject line of your correspondence is always a great thing so that we can quickly look you up. You know, we are also former folks who have worked with startups and technology, and so we are interested and eager to hear more about how things are going at your company, even if you think that whatever news or update you have maybe isn't directly related to our award. It's great for us to hear how things are going. So please feel free to reach out and keep us in the loop. So one of the first questions you probably have is, how do I get the Phase I funds? And so NSF uses a system called the Award Cash Management Service, ACMS, to allow you to take funds down on your award. ACMS you should think about as kind of a one-way ATM. So you can access it as much or as often as possible, and you can take funds out in whatever amount and as many times as you want, but you can't put money back. And so you should understand that the money only flows out of ACMS. You should also understand that depending on how your company is organized, that taking money from ACMS into your company's bank account can have tax implications. So you should think about that before you, especially before you draw down large amounts of funds, because in some cases you will have tax consequences by taking a lot of money down at once. ACMS is something where research.gov is an NSF system that you probably have used. It is used to be able to enable people to be registered users to use ACMS to take money down. And so the award letter that I mentioned has information about how to get informed about how to use ACMS. And then there's a number of things on research.gov that will allow you to configure your access to ACMS. So a number of things are going to happen in the course of your Phase I, especially towards the beginning of the award here. I'm going to go through a few of the things, and I'm going to talk about some of these activities in subsequent slides. So generally speaking, in the first month, you're going to hear the initial contact from two fairly significant activities that you'll be offered as free services to all Phase I awardees. The first one of those is called the Commercialization Assistance Program, and the second one is called the Beat the Odds Bootcamp. We'll talk about both of these, but just to suffice to say that they will both be happening pretty quickly after your award starts. They will both generally require, at certain times, a fair amount of effort on your part, and they're both intended to make you as strong as possible a contender for your Phase II award. They're both intended for you to be prepared for the Phase II review process. So within the first 3 months, various things will happen. And in particular, the Beat the Odds Bootcamp, really the entire process happens, generally speaking, within the first 3 months of your award. And so that'll be something you'll be spending a lot of time on very quickly. And then finally, generally speaking, around the 3rd month of your award, you will be required to attend an NSF Phase I workshop for all of the awardees to, again, provide additional information and give you a chance to meet your program director, to meet the staff, and to network with your cohort entrepreneurs. So just to dive in a little bit and explain the programs I mentioned, the Commercialization Assistance Planning Program is something that you will know better by its name, Dawnbreaker, which is a company that we have contracted to help run this program. The goal of the Commercialization Assistance Planning Program is for Dawnbreaker to work closely with your company to help you understand the commercial side of the Phase II review process. And the main thing that you use in the Phase II review to make your commercial case is called the Commercialization Plan, which is a 15-page document. And Dawnbreaker is going to work with you company from the kickoff all the way through, the months before your Phase II submission to put together and to vet and to kind of kick the tires of your commercialization plan. And so they'll have a series of webinars, they'll have people for you to work with, and they're going to try to keep you up to date with understanding the different pieces of the plan and how NSF conducts our review, and to try to make sure that you're able to, put together a timely and strong plan. One of the things that you'll do at the Phase I workshop is you will have an ability to meet one-on-one with the Dawnbreaker representative who's assigned to your company. So the other program that we're going to offer you that's going to start fairly quickly here is called the Beat the Odds Bootcamp. This is essentially adapted from the NSF I-Core, or Innovation Core program. It is a customer discovery program where the I-Core instructors that NSF uses will lead you through a shortened version of the I-Core program. Your company will participate, a team of people from your company will work on this program, and the goal is to basically you learn about the process of customer discovery and learn how to use it to vet your business model hypothesis by directly going out and interviewing face-to-face at least 30 customers or other stakeholders in your business. And you're going to do this as a team, but you're going to be doing it under the watchful eye of an instructor who understands and is an expert in this process. And again, the goal is for you to be able to figure out if your business model makes sense and to strengthen it and to change it if you need to, and to make sure that you're not spending the Phase I R&D funding developing a technology where there's no business model that you can use to be successful in commercially creating that new product or service that you're trying to create. So there's a number of videos online, public, that will kind of walk through the details of this process. Again, this is an optional activity that you're given for free, but it is strongly recommended because we have seen over and over that companies that engaged deeply with the market early on are much more likely to both get Phase II awards and also much more likely to be commercially successful in the long run. So the Beat the Odds Bootcamp will start within 1 month of an award. It will come from, a lot of the communication will come from people who are not directly NSF staff, but you should consider these folks part of our team. They won't have nsf.gov emails, but you should think about them as part of the team here. And if you have any questions about the budget aspect of the Beat the Odds Bootcamp, feel free to ask them and or your program director. But there is, as you know, in your budget, the ability to use up to $20,000 of your Phase I funding for the direct cost of participating in the bootcamp. The next Phase I workshop will be March 16th to 18th in Arlington, Virginia. I recommend you think about who's going to attend and have those people block that time. There's 3 days of content, and it's important to note that if you're not participating in the bootcamp, the first day is something you wouldn't have to attend. And so the second and third day, everyone should attend. The first day you should attend if you are going to do the bootcamp. A couple of things that are important to know. You are now a shepherd, a steward of government funds. You have to have an accounting system in place and processes in place to kind of live up to the normal best practices for accounting for outside funding. And so this means no keeping your receipts in a shoebox, no tracking your funds with spreadsheets. You should have something that an accountant would look at and say meets kind of the normal basic requirements of a corporate accounting system. This includes tracking direct and indirect costs, making sure you can track what money is spent that is NSF funding versus other funding, and so on. If you're not sure how any of this works, you should consult and hire an accountant ideally before you start spending NSF funding, and you should let us know early if you have any questions through your program director. Note that part of the Phase II review is actually at a deep dive into your company's accounting practices and records, and so it's important to start preparing for that now. So there are a couple of videos here that are linked. There's a website with an FAQ on accounting. There's also a link to a video here, and it's all also on our website at seedfund.nsf.gov. So I feel free to dive into the details if you need to. If you have any changes during Phase I, contact your program director. Changes are good. Changes are sometimes necessary, and we don't have any issues with changes as long as there's a good reason for them and as long as we are apprised of them in advance. And so some of the things on the slide are common changes, but if there's anything that's changing, especially around what you're doing with our money, how you're spending it, what the budget is, that's something that you should absolutely discuss with your program director before you make the change. We also understand that your business model may change, which may change your, your commercialization plan and or your Phase I scope. That's fine. Let us know and we'll discuss. And again, our goal is that our money is going to be used by you as effectively as possible to become commercially successful based on what you think the best approach is. And if that approach changes, then let's discuss. There's some information here about no-cost extensions. If you want your award you need to work longer than you expected to get the project done, that's fine, but you have to let us know. For your final report, there's information on our website. It's something that you should submit only after your project is as done as possible, after you've spent or obligated all the money and you're ready to tell us everything that you did. And our website has information on how to report that information to NSF. The final payment of your award, $25,000, is the only thing you don't have access to right now. That is going to be withheld until after NSF receives and approves your final report. And so you're going to have to figure out now how to deal with a potential cash flow issue because we want you to have essentially spent all the money before submitting the report. So you'll have to figure out a way to cover a temporary shortfall at the end of your project. And again, let us know if you want to discuss that aspect. The other thing you have to do here is if you have discovered anything with NSF funding that is patentable, when you actually formally file patents or provisional patents, you need to disclose those to the government. As you probably know, the government has certain limited rights to that IP. This is how we keep track of it. So for Phase II, we'll talk a lot about this at the workshop, but you're only allowed to submit it once, and you have 3 dates that you're given to choose from, and so that's a decision you'll want to start thinking about and discussing with your program director. Some email addresses that you may be getting grant-related correspondence from that you should make sure to add to your safe list if you have that sort of thing with your email. And finally, some reminders. Read your award letter. Read the terms and conditions that are linked in your award letter. Those are important. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but they are legally binding, and so they are the fine print that you should know about, given that you are now an awardee of NSF. And anything else that NSF program directors send, you should make sure you read and understand. And finally, most of this information is available on our website. If you go to the Resources tab for Phase I awardees, you'll be able to find most of the information replicated that I've talked about here today. Thank you so much. Congratulations and best of luck on your Phase I project.